Project manager is essentially a manager of the time. While managing the time, they manage people, they manage budget, they manage the whole supply chain. The biggest challenge for project is timeline do not meet, budget do not meet. Therefore, the value of the project changes significantly.
Hello and welcome everyone. Today is the first ever podcast of PMI Bangladesh chapter, and I will be your host, Farhana Islam, for today's session. Today, we are diving into a conversation that sits right at the heart of Bangladesh's construction transformation. We often say experience is everything in the industry. But what happens when experience meets structure? To explore that, I'm truly excited to be joined by someone who has seen this journey firsthand. Joining us today is Mr. Mashid Rahman, one of the first PMP certified leader from Rankon Holdings. With years of experience navigating complex construction projects and evolving leadership challenges. Mashid Bhai, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Farhana. Pleasure being here.
So, Bhaiya, before we dive into our session, can we know something about you as a professional and as a person?
Interesting question. First and foremost, I think I like to call myself one of the first PMPs of Bangladesh. Okay. I have been a certified project manager since 2008. I became a PMP when project management was not even a profession in Bangladesh. It started with a telecom launch in Bangladesh called Warid Telecom. I started my journey with project management with Warid Telecom in Bangladesh. Then I later moved to different parts of Africa, where I was also doing project management. Once I finished all my project management, Farhana, I came back to Bangladesh. I joined Banglalink in totally different career perspective. I joined their corporate affairs. I left Banglalink and I started with Uber. I was the country advisor for Uber when it was launching. And once I launched Uber, I moved to another change in career. I became the government advisor to Union of Myanmar. And I came back to Bangladesh and again I changed to a different sector, which is my core for last 10 years, construction.
So, as we are talking about the construction industry, so let's start from the beginning. What drew you after going into so many industries? What inspired you to come to this construction industry?
Actually, it's not the sector that drew me in, it's a person behind it. Actually, I was pretty fascinated by the guy who I worked with. His name is Mr. Romarov Chaudhary. He's also chairman of my company, Rankon Holding. Actually, he drew me in. When I met him, he said, Mashid, you were born into the sector, why don't you join in? And out of nowhere, I said, okay, why not? It was not very planned for Anna, but I always go with my instinct. I've always followed my instinct and my passion.
Okay. So, if I ask you, when you started in this construction industry, what changes do you see when you started 10 years back and now?
Farah, let me answer this. I am in the real estate sector. Real estate sector engineering has not evolved the way it should have. Okay. It's a very strong statement. But the reason I'm saying what made the difference, I would say I am the first to implement project management office in real estate Bangladesh. Okay.
Yes.
And that create the dynamism, because if you ask me what project management is, I would always say is a central governance unit for the investor. Earlier, this whole concept was not there. Somebody driving every bit of the business from a center point. So that's what the dynamism brought in. But truth be told, the construction sector of Bangladesh needs a lot of changes. If I compare with, I'm not going to even compare with China. If I have to compare with India and other developing nations, we still have a long mile to go, because in the next 2-3 decades, the biggest growth frontier in Bangladesh should be construction, civil engineering, part infrastructure development, be it housing, be it bridges, structures, infrastructures, mega structures.
We will be coming back to that portion again, but let's just focus on your PMP journey. What actually inspired you to pursue your PMP? Because you are one of the first PMP holders in Bangladesh. So, what pursued you to achieve that certification?
Company trained us in Dubai, and we went to our respective countries because the team comprised people from different nationality, and we all sat for the exam in our own time. And that's how, I think somewhere around in 2008, I sat for the exam. That time the examination was an American Alumni Association. I sat for the exam, I passed. I think it was by far the most difficult exam of my life. But having said that, it was difficult. But in my career, Farhana, this is the most joyous, self-fulfilling journey that I've ever done.
If you look back now, after the certification, what first changed in you? Your process or your mindset?
My mindset was always there, so that I learned the process. Because I started project management even before I was a certified project manager. I started project management in 2006 and I became a certified project manager towards end of 2008. Project manager is essentially a manager of the time.
Exactly.
While managing the time, they manage people, they manage budget, they manage the whole supply chain. So all these things together. So it has always been there, but once I got certified, I got to know about the processes. And truth be told, those processes comes very handy, but one shirt doesn't fit all. Certain things needs to be tailored to the market. Bangladesh market is still very fresh, so a lot of process needs to be still taught. What brought in, I always had the mindset, PMI brought the process within me.
So, how do you feel that the global PMP framework is different from our local construction industry, or how can we tailor fit it?
Okay, very good question. Farhana, Bangladesh, globally, it differs market to market. In the Western Hemisphere, it is very process driven. Okay, because their adaptability towards automation is much more higher than ours. In Bangladesh, like I said, it's not process driven yet. First and foremost, I would like to instill the mindset of project management. Okay, then everything else will follow. Okay, the fact that we need to finish a project on time, that whole mindset needs to be there. Most fundamental part of project management is to get the project done on time. In Bangladesh, that is the biggest problem. If you ask the government, the biggest challenge for project is timeline do not meet, budget do not meet. Therefore, the whole cost, the value of the project changes significantly. The outcome does not come.
Yeah.
I can tell you in our sector, what I have implemented is timely completion of project, maybe ahead of time. I tell you why. Our purpose is not about the only delivering project. You have to put a certain effort to get a certain result.
Of course.
If the result is not there, the purpose is partially failed. I can say that I make the best buildings, which I believe we do. But end of the day, if I don't make money, the whole exercise is futile.
We always talk about success, but we do have some failures as project managers. So, how do you deal with those failures, or how PMP has helped you to identify the risk and risk mitigation plan? How do you do that?
Farhana, experienced project manager can see a project from a bird eye view. When you see something from a bird eye view vis-a-vis a tunnel vision, you see the difference. From top, you see all the different pieces, how they're performing. But on a tunnel vision, you only see one part. As a project manager with experience, I can see how the dot needs to be connected and when the dot does not connect, what is the impact. You can see that very clearly. So project management is that experience, that learning that tells you where to start, how to navigate, and how the end looks like. All three major points are connected. So you can see that.
Let's talk about your current role in organization like Rankon Holdings. When you started this project management PMO office, did you face any challenges? And if you have faced it, how did you handle it?
First of all, I'm the managing director of the businesses that I run. So automatically, by default, my chair gave me certain authority.
Lucky you.
Okay. So that kind of gave me certain advantage, and I could give the direction that people needed to understand, except they did not understand then. They accepted, but I was always part to the whole changes. Every week, I started a weekly project management meeting. People started realizing links were missing. Once they started seeing that by creating a project management office, by connecting the dots, the whole projects are getting shape faster than they ever expected or anticipated. So at that point, once they've seen the changes in favor of the business, they started eventually accepting. So PMO avoids that or destroys that noise or pushes that noise aside and puts a structure in it, project management. So project management helped me understand that, helped me teach them that. And many of them now understands in a better perspective that project management is required. And I think it's the start. PMI has an immense role to play for the future of Bangladesh, to the engineers, to the world of infrastructure, to the world of construction. If engineers grow bigger, the amount of future projects that Bangladesh will have, we do not have sufficient manpower. I understand the value of it. That's the reason I'm preaching project management to my office and PMI.
My last question before we wrap up. So, do you think that PMP is becoming essential for the future construction leaders?
PMP is essential for all future leaders. Doesn't have to be construction. PMP gives a holistic idea about business. PMP should not be I think this is a misconception that PMP is only for engineers. PMP is for all. All business leaders should have few knowledge of finance, knowledge of marketing, and knowledge of project management. All three for business leaders have to understand numbers. They have to understand how project works, and they have to understand what dynamism is required in the marketing. So that leader has to see, because these are essentially the cost center of the company as well. So truth be told, PMP should not be industry specific. I have 6 CEOs reporting to me who are actually engineers. Okay. And I tell them an engineer should have both understanding of project management as well as finance. It's just an added information that I want to share because I see those are the gaps.
So, Bhaiya, if people look back to your journey, what do you hope that they would remember about you?
Interesting. How they want to see me?
Yes.
They should see me the guy who was an absolute taskmaster, loved what he did, and he was honest to his work.
Okay. And any advice to the upcoming young engineers who wants to follow your path?
They should follow their own path. They should have their own dream. And the whole idea of education should be not a degree, but how you implement it in real life using your intelligence coupled with your knowledge. Knowledge and intelligence are two different things, right? Knowledge comes from books, intelligence comes from life. When you can connect those two dots, you are a winner. That should be the pathway for anybody, especially the people who are younger.
So we will be wrapping up soon, but before that, I have a rapid fire session for you. You cannot think. You have to just answer whatever comes to your mind, just like that. So PMP in one line for you.
Central governance for the investor.
One lesson construction taught you the hard way.
Inflation does not forgive time delay.
Experience versus structure, which matters more?
So in real estate, there's a term in architecture, form follows functionality. So functionality is how the design should work. Form is what you seek. So similarly, structure coupled with experience.
One habit that shaped your leadership.
Accountability, answerability, transparency.
Very important. One word for the future of Bangladesh construction.
Limitless.
So there we have it. Thank you, Mashid Bhai, for sharing not just your journey, but your mindset with us today. In an industry like construction where complexity is the norm, it's the combination of experience and structured thinking that truly drives excellence. So that's all from us today. Hope to meet you soon. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you. Thank you, PMI, for inviting me. I hope my experience helps others. I'm sure there are other inspiration as well, but I hope whatever I have shared, my experience, my learning, I hope it is useful to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.